Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Asheville Transit Committee, May 16th, 2023, from 5 to 7. We normally meet on the third Tuesday of the month, virtually from 5 to 7. The Transit Committee is a volunteer citizen board designed to offer input and guidance to the Asheville Transit System and City Council. We do not set or change routes, control Asheville's transit budget, or have authority over staff, drivers, or the management company. We are a group of citizens like you who are here to ensure community concerns are taken into consideration when setting public transit policy. Moving forward, we'll go ahead and take roll call. I'll call a roll call for transit committee members and staff. All right. I'm here. Sandy Aldridge.
I'm here.
Glad to see you, Sandy.
Good to see you, Harvey.
Uh-huh. Georgia Burks. Georgia Burks. All right. Joseph Chesler. I know he's there. Joseph.
He keeps hopping in and out, Harvey. He may have connection
It's probably had
problem.
the same problem he had last month. Okay, he had that
Yeah.
problem. There's Joe. Joseph, there you are.
I'm
Here,
present.
Joe.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you, Joe. All right. Bill Loftus. Bill was supposed to be here today. Let me down. Philip Lucetto. Colin Kenton.
I'm here.
Colin. Okay, thank you, Colin. Brandon Oliver. More than likely, Brandon will join us in a little while. She usually does that. He has a lot of duties to do and family. Okay. At the current time, we do not have a quorum. Jessica Morris. Jessica's not here today. Amber Wagner.
I'm here, Harvey.
Hi, Amber.
Hi there.
Glad to see you.
Nice to see you all. Thank you.
Okay. Catherine Landier.
Present.
Thank you for being here, Catherine. Nicole Hart.
Present.
Thank you, Nicole, for all that you do. Barry Riley.
I am here, Harvey. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Barry. LaShawn Abraham.
I'm here.
Thank you, LaShawn. Moving on down to the agenda. We don't have anyone in the queue for public comment standards of opportunities. Moving on to public comment none. New business. Committee membership and terms reminder. The failure of any committee member to attend 75% or more of the meetings of the committee held during a 12-month period, unless excused, may be grounds for removal. Currently, one member has missed all meetings since joining the committee. It's Philip, and two members have missed 4 of the last 7 meetings. And that would be Georgia and Sandy. On the concerning Philip, we don't have a a quorum, but on this, we can go ahead and make a recommendation for and send it to multimodal. But I need someone to bring a motion to for multimodal to look at Philip Lucetto's not coming to any meeting since he's joined, and for them to also replace him. So I need a motion for that, to replace Philip going to multimodal. May I have a motion for that?
Also move, Harvey.
We don't have a quorum.
We don't need a quorum to send this to multimodal.
Do we have room for discussion?
We do.
Has anybody reached out to
Yes.
Philip and talked to him? And
Amber, I'll let
feedback?
Amber go ahead and handle that, or Nicole, either one.
I can chime in a little bit. I believe staff has tried to reach him numerous times. And Nicole, I believe you've tried to contact him, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I've tried by phone and by email.
Mm-hmm.
And, right at this moment, he is not quite 75%. If he misses the next meeting, that will be the 75 percentile, and then we can send a motion to, or make a motion to send to MMTC to have him removed.
Yeah, from my understanding, for requesting of removal of a member, they have to be gone 75% of the time, rolling off of 12 months. So he wouldn't meet that criteria quite yet.
But he has. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Harvey, Amber, Nicole, how was he brought onto the committee? Was he appointed by the MMTC, or was how was he? How was his name advanced?
He submitted an application, which then came to us, and then we moved it forward to multimodal, or the transit committee. You all did. I can't remember which month that was.
Because I was informed that we didn't need that, but if that's what staff wants to do, I was heard we could go ahead and send that to multimodal, because we haven't heard anything from him at all. And we're in dire need of members to show up at the meetings. And if we haven't heard from anyone, we need them to be replaced. But if we had heard from him, I could understand that. But I think multimodal needs to be aware of, we haven't heard anything from him at all. And that was my understanding from talking to Kim earlier today. We would just be informing them. But if you wanted to not do that, we won't.
I believe Kim is actually listening in, but she cannot unmute her mic. I don't know, Nicole, do you have availability to do that?
No, ma'am, I don't see anyone in the queue.
She's in the phone. She has the number ending in 65. I just saw an email pop up from her.
Yes, she's there, but she's in a meeting somewhere else.
Okay.
Isn't it *6 to unmute?
Maybe she is in a meeting. I didn't read the email. She just said her
Check,
phone
check.
seems.
Oh, there she is.
Check. Thank you to whoever said *6. So for a little clarity here, because the Transit Committee is a subcommittee appointed by the Multimodal Transportation Commission, and because you don't have a quorum, you can't vote to officially recommend to the multimodal that you look at attendance. However, my suggestion is that we're getting to a place where it becomes very difficult for the Transit Committee to be able to do its job making recommendations if you can't achieve a quorum. So while it is incredibly uncomfortable to remove people, it is also possible for people to reapply. And that has happened before, where folks get to a place where they're able to attend meetings at a different point and they can reapply. So my suggestion when talking to Harvey today is that if you were to make an informal recommendation in the case you wouldn't have a quorum, which today you don't, and part of it's because you don't have enough members showing up, I would happily carry forward an informal recommendation to the multimodal that they review the attendance, and if there are attendance issues, that they create openings and go ahead and post it so that we can look at it at the next meeting of multimodal. Now, this won't go to council because this is not a council appointed advisory board. It would just go to the multimodal, and I would happily pass that along.
Thank you, Kim.
It would mean
Nicole?
that at a future meeting, you would only need 4 members instead of 5 to be able to vote.
Thank you. Nicole,
Yes, sir.
did you have something you want to say? I saw you light up.
Yes, sir. It was just some information. Mr. Lucero was officially appointed October 26th of last year.
Thank you, Nicole.
So the way I understand it, there's been 100% non-attendance.
No, we
Mhm.
did have some cancellations. So
Okay.
right now
Okay.
today he's at 8. One more
Okay.
and then he'll hit the 75% mark.
And once again, you know, these are public meetings. And so when we are talking about volunteer advisory roles, we know that it takes a lot of time for our residents and neighbors to participate. And so anytime that you're having attendance issues, it could be because someone doesn't have access to, as we know, transportation or time away from work or family commitments. So it's really not a personal thing so much as like honoring that we want folks to participate, and also the body can't function effectively without a quorum.
Exactly. Thank you, Kim. All right.
So Harvey, are you going to put an informal recommendation together, or what
Kim said she
Or
was
we
going
wait-
to take the
okay.
informal
Okay, perfect.
recommendation to, she'll send it to multimodal, and it's not formal, so we won't have to vote on it.
Okay.
But that
But I'll
way
happily
they'll be
carry forward that
informed.
there were some,
Pardon me?
I was going to say, I would happily carry forward that there were questions about attendance, and was the person whose attendance was questioned, were they contacted? So I would definitely layer in those concerns that folks mentioned too. One of the benefits of participating in a volunteer advisory board is when life happens, that we all notice when each other doesn't show up. So I think it's really important that those processes around reaching out are addressed too, because it shows care.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, Kim. There was an email from Bill. Who's that? I didn't see it. Did you see that, Amber, at the bottom of the screen? It popped in and it popped out.
It was Joseph indicating to Nicole there's a message, but I didn't see a message from Bill.
Yeah, if I may, Harvey, I just am offering to reach out to Phil, stop by his house or his business to determine his level of interest, if that would help. And since email and phone calls aren't getting answered, perhaps a face-to-face visit and a short discussion might clarify his interest, if you like.
Amber?
Staff has reached out, and if the committee members would like to further that reach out, that is, you know, you can work towards that. We have not had a quorum
Okay.
for the last I don't know when the last time we had quorum, but it is becoming difficult to conduct business due to lack
Okay.
of quorum.
Would it be in our best interest to say Nicole could forward him the information that Joseph needs to do that?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you
I
go,
don't know,
Joseph.
Phil, but I'd be happy to intercede if it would be of some help.
Say what?
I say I don't know Phil, but I'd be happy to intercede, to visit with him if he'll receive me and determine his level of interest. So that'd be fine. I'll try to do that if you like.
And that's why I was asking Amber, would it be the best interest for Nicole to supply you with the information that you needed to go see him? That's what I was talking about, Joseph.
Understood. I'll await further information then.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. That's good looking out for members. We all need looking out after at different times in our lives. Moving on to draft art writer information. Staff will provide an update of current efforts, updating writer information and rules and public information that will go on board art buses. This is the 4-page art system rules that staff put out, and hopefully all of the members have looked at these art system rules. All committee members have looked at the art system rules, and maybe you have some annotations throughout the 4-page report, things that you might want staff to look at. I know I did. And if you do, before I go, the floor is open to all the committee members
Harvey?
to go ahead and.
Harvey, really
Yes,
quick,
Catherine.
before I want us to have a discussion. Really quick, I wanted to touch on some other communication too that we've done. And I had a couple slides to share super quick, just so you
Okay.
guys could know like an update, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Catherine. The
Okay.
floor is up with Catherine.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys all see my screen? Okay, so this is the first piece is the art system rules. And I just wanted you guys to understand just the role of them to foster a safe and healthy environment to ride and work in. Just briefly, we have the definitions that are provided and the level of consequences, how the staff are to respond, and how the appeal process works. And of course, you guys haven't looked over it. This is just a quick summary of what you've already looked over. And then also we're going to have an image like this. This was something that we were able to use, but I'm trying to edit it. And the more I edit it, the more I'm finding that it's not just simple graphics I can pick up. So right now, this is just a draft of it. That's not exactly what it'll look like, but when I can get the editing a little bit better, then it will be. And we'll have that image along with like a shortened version of the rider rules on the buses and at the transit center, and also a URL, and then also a QR code that can take you to the website where you can see everything and see the full rules instead of just a shortened version. And then also we'll have a URL and a QR code for system maps. We've been talking about this for a while, having something just simple. I figure the color coded with the routes of the overall system, and then also something a little bit more detailed when you go downtown, just so that's available on the buses and at the transit center. And then again, if you want to use the URL or the QR code to help you find the more detailed version that we're used to on the website. And we don't have to look at this, but really quick, I just want to show you, we're trying to clean it up and make it a little bit more organized. Some of these tabs will change, and some of this section will change to be included in the other tabs. So just easier to plan a trip and for people to navigate our website. So I just wanted to share that, and then we can, of course, have a discussion. I know that Carmen mentioned some ideas about feedback she had received, and then anyone else want to talk? I'm going to stop sharing. But if anybody else wants to talk about their ideas, I think that would be great.
Okay, I saw Joseph had his hand up. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, Catherine, I was curious what to bring, what not to bring on the buses. That bicycles weren't listed, and then later on I saw where you have that accommodation. I'm wondering, should bikes be added to the what to bring page or not? I know
That's
you're
a good
working on
idea.
it.
No, thank you for bringing that up. That's a good idea.
Thank you. I know you're working on it though.
Sorry, it's a draft. Don't worry. We're going to change it.
Okay, is that it, Joseph?
That's it for now. Yeah, I think Colin's got his hand up.
Okay, if you have anything else, just put your hand up. Colin is in the queue.
Yeah, so on the what not to bring is electric scooters are not allowed?
I think that was one of the ones that when we talked with Art, they said that they allow electric scooters.
Okay.
Sean, is that right?
That didn't seem to be an issue, so.
No. I mean,
What was that?
powered isn't allowed.
Yeah.
Does that include battery powered wheelchairs then?
No.
Battery powered scooters are not allowed.
Battery powered wheelchairs are allowed.
So I don't know, Colin, if you remember the Phenom when the scooters first came out with the batteries and they were exploding. That was the reason why.
And do we still have a problem with exploding batteries? I haven't seen one explode in a while, so I just wasn't sure. But if they're exploding, then that's fine. Sorry.
Thank you, Colin.
That's good to bring up. That way we can make sure it's very clear.
All right. Carmen, did you want to come in?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I got feedback from different people, and I will try to convey it as best I can. So with level 1, the question was as far as the animals. In the past, people said that has been iffy. Sometimes they did see animals that were in a carrier and sometimes not. And so just across the board, that's going to be a no from here on out, right?
Just the service animals, yeah.
Cool. All right. And then, so you will get banned for 30 days if you have food that you happen to, like, even though you know the rule, you take a sip of your drink or something.
If you have a screw top drink, you can bring that. And then if you have food and if you get it out and you're eating, then the first response for staff is to give a verbal warning to remind the rider of the rules.
I did hear from somebody on that same section, number 4. She said, I don't feel comfortable saying her diagnosis, but she has tremors. So for her, bringing up stuff in one trip would be very difficult on some days. And so I'm not sure, because of course these are universal rules, so I'm not sure how something like that would be navigated.
Maybe if we could, if she's comfortable enough, if we could talk to her to find out her experience and what works or doesn't work, so we could kind of apply it to different situations for the bus, because I'm not sure that I would understand 100% to make a decision on a rule quite yet. I think I'd need to hear what's going on.
We can, and how is it working currently? I'm assuming this individual is a current rider. So
Right.
if we want to talk about that offline, and maybe LaShawn and Barry could chime in a little bit about, you know, this type of situation.
I'm not sure. No, 1 second, sorry. So in level 2, number 5, people were hoping to get like if there could be an elaboration on that, like maybe examples, because it seems like that could be all kinds of things. And if it's just by the driver who decides, that could be all kinds of things. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's not a universal, because that could be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just kind of to make things as, you know, universal as possible. So if I get on a bus or a different bus, or, you know, that it's all the same.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so level 3, the question came up about number 4, of course, indecent exposure, but that footwear is required, and it definitely, like, of course, right? But is that on the same level as indecent exposure, was what somebody said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, should that be like, of course, you know, there are rules, but a couple of people said that those aren't equal, you know, indecent exposure and not having shoes. Because just to extend that shoes part, when we have been talking about the safety plan, that is something where we would hope that the safety individuals would be able to provide.
Okay.
And then the last thing I'll say, number 7, there was it seems a little confusing, because if you're banned and you get to the bus, you will be banned again. So if I've had a level 3 infraction and I am banned for 180 days, and I show up when I'm banned, am I given 180 more days? Because that seems like it might be something that is different from all of these things that are unacceptable, and maybe it's a different level. Just, I don't know. And
I think
then,
go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
I was just going to say, I think in that situation, it might be this similar to the response where the supervisor, the staff that's there, has to be able to have that verbal warning to talk to the person, because it may be something that they don't understand because they were banned for 30 days. The 30 days isn't up, and that can be an opportunity for them to talk to them about their ban and maybe explain a little. And that way it's not just, oh, we saw you, we caught you on the camera, and now you're banned again for 30 days or something, or, well, that would be 90 days, but that kind of situation, then it's more of a discussion. But that is an idea based on what level of infraction you had previously could kind of guide supervisors to understand which level of ban you receive if you do show up again. Because it would be more serious, like you said, if someone had a level 3 and they show up again, and then as opposed to someone who had a level 1 and showed up again.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
That's something to look into. Yeah,
I think
that's a
that'd
good
be something to revisit and look at based on,
Yeah.
you know, what level would it be if, you know, first after verbal warning, then we just have to take a look at that. Something, it's good.
And if I am banned, am I given like something in writing to say that I'm banned starting this day for this long, or do I have to request that?
So we did talk about that because of the inability to always have the report right there to give someone, or if it is a fight and that person is not receptive to getting some kind of a report in the moment or whatever it is. So what the plan is initially, and it can always be adjusted, the idea is that the report will be written up, the supervisor writes up the report, and they turn it in to LaShawn. And then the record is kept, and that record is available for the person who it was for to ask for it when they want to, like if they want to appeal, then then the writer rules, it explains the appeal process. So in there, and I was almost adding stuff the other day, but I can't add any more right now because you guys have that version. So I'd stopped myself. But that is an idea that I was thinking, is that we could put it in there saying, you know, your report's available with, and then have the address or whatever, the email address or whatever it is. And then they can reach out and request their report for their appeal or whatever. But that's just an idea.
So yeah, I guess like what we were thinking is just making, if anybody does need to appeal or whatever, making that process as easy as possible so that they are within those 10 days, you know. And it's like, if they have to wait for any piece, and especially if they have you know, they don't have a computer or, you know, somewhere to drop it in the mail or anything, it might complicate matters more.
Yeah.
So that was that. But then we were talking about like some things, probably fighting or you know, like any kind of weapon or anything like that. Are those things that would still follow that warning system?
What, the supervisor warning them not to?
No, yeah, like before you got banned, like if you had a firearm, if you had a knife, like from my understanding, the way this is written, people would get a warning first. Is that correct?
That is the way it is written.
Yeah, we may need to revisit that. I mean, I feel pretty strongly if you have a firearm that you should be banned. Or, I mean that it's a little, and I guess LaShawn and Barry, what is the current practice with firearms, with any of those type of like activities?
I took a picture of the rules the other day.
So we don't approach those folks.
Yeah.
We definitely call for APD.
Yeah.
So.
So that's all that was brought to my attention, and you know, we have some people still trickling in, and I'll just forward it all to you all. And I will talk to the person who had expressed concern about the one bag. I'll see if she's comfortable corresponding with you all, and if not, we'll figure something out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you. I want to thank Catherine, LaShawn, Barry, and their team, and Carmen for taking a look at this. The goal is for safety and making sure everybody feels safe. Also, that the rules are understood, and if there's any areas, just so people are informed and we're as transparent as possible in terms of some of these this information. So I want to thank you all on it.
I'm not through.
Oh, sorry, Harvey. I thought you had already talked. Sorry.
Now. Okay. Starting on the first page. I got down to the second sentence and I stopped. It states that the Rider Code of Conduct, the Code of Conduct explains what art considers fair and reasonable of all users of the art system. That's double redundancy right there. But considers fair and reasonable to all users would be a more effective way to say that. And the Writers Code, RIDERS, would seem more appropriate when it says writer. This Writers Code of Conduct explains what art considers fair, reasonable to all users of the art system. And going on down to definitions, art system. This is on this first line. It's a double redundancy throughout the whole report, and I'm surprised nobody else has saw it. But it's a double redundancy. Art system, all vehicles, bus stops, bus shelters, ART, A-R-T, transit station. That's it right there. Right there, that's saying all vehicles, bus stops, bus shelters, Asheville redefining regional transit station. Art shouldn't be in there at all. Asheville redefining transit. Transit is the key, is the word right there, but putting art in there is like a redundancy of the same thing. Art redefining transit station. That's a little bit much. And then it goes on down to the next line, staff, any employee of ART Transit, same thing. Any employee of transit support staff or the city of Asheville, because that's like Asheville redefined transit support. All of that's coming in a group word right there. And one word means the same thing. So you have to either use ART Transit one. Okay, and that goes throughout the report, and at some length. I'll go through my whole thing here, but going on down to level 1, it was also stated by Carmen about food brought on to the bus. There is a letter that's on some of the buses, but not on all of the buses. It states that in medical emergencies, people can eat on the bus as far as taking care of medication, but I'm quite sure they'll have to inform the driver of that they have a medical condition that they have to eat at that time. And I've also been on the bus when a person did have to eat in order to be medically safe and take their medication as well. But only in medical emergencies, I think, should be in there somewhere. And still on level 1, number 7, that's where ART reappears in transit. Moving on down to number 8, engaging in unauthorized canvassing, selling, soliciting, or distributing any material on board buses or at the transfer facility. The transfer facility, to me, is saying that's up at the station. It should be like, I may be wrong, on board buses or at any transfer facility. Because the transfer facility is mainly thinking about uptown at bus, at the ART station. But at any transfer facility, you can't sit there and, do your drugs and whatever, That's what I would think. Going on down to level 2. In level 2, number 2, fighting, the level is in level 2. I couldn't believe that. Fighting should be in level 3. As far as what I'm thinking, fighting that shouldn't be tolerated any kind of way whatsoever. But I think it should be higher than 2. It should be higher than 2. Level 3 fighting it's just bad, fighting on the bus. You don't want fisticuffs flying and then somebody else on the side gets hit and then they get crushed by somebody else. And, they might enjoin somebody who's in a wheelchair or whatever. That's not a good thing, but it should carry a harsher punishment than level 2. Okay, moving on to level 3. Number 4. Indecent exposure is prohibited. Tops, bottoms, and footwear are required at all times. That brings me back to the August 26th thing that happened, Women's Equality Day in Asheville, and the 19th Amendment. I wonder how they handle that one. Do people get on? You know how they in North Carolina you can go topless anywhere, but I understand it's the bus. But you know it's a person's 20s. It's a person's 19th Amendment right. You know, but they do it up here on the 26th. I don't know whether the city has issued an ordinance against it. But we should check into that and see if the city is going to issue an ordinance against it. But at one time, I was reading they're considering an ordinance against it whenever they, do that on the 26th of August. And also in number 7, there's double redundancy about the ART transit buses. ART transit buses after having been notified. And then it's again on the last line in there, ART transit buses, when it should just be remaining on transit buses or remaining on ART buses during the period. And moving on down to the next paragraph. Somehow or another, it's in here. So what are the certain circumstances that we're talking about? We'll respond to the writer with a decision within 7 days under certain circumstances. I didn't get that.
So I think that came up whenever we were talking about situations where the day after something happens or the day we find out it happens, by the time we get a hold of either an operator or a supervisor, that if they're not working that next day or we can't get a hold of them for a couple of days, I think we had offered that just in case contingencies happen. If something happens that, or an inclement weather event or something happens where we can't get a hold of people for a couple of days, that way it gives us some time to gather the rest of the evidence, anything that you need to find out what really happened. Like when we're having to get maybe video footage or reports from different people, that situation. I think that's why we added that, was in case there was something that happened. It would still give a time limit to expect a response, though. That way it wouldn't be indefinite. There would be an actual time limit, though. But just in case something happened, we would have a little bit of time.
Okay, certain circumstances. I'm not really on board with the appeal process, so to speak. When you're banned from the art station for a violation, how do you get back to the art station to get your paperwork and all that stuff? When you're banned from the station, do you at the time of the incident, do you get the person's address or whatever? It doesn't say anything about that, but how do they get the paperwork that they necessarily need to turn back into y'all so y'all can do what y'all got to do with it and analyze it if they can't get back on property?
That's a great question, Harvey.
That's kind of similar to what we were talking about with Carmen about how do they get their report, or can they get a report or something like that. So that would be something good to add is what is their step? How do they get a hold of their report? Is it an email because they can't set foot on there? Is it a phone call? Like, how does that work? That would be a good step to add.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Because I know what dispatch is going to tell you as soon as they see you.
Yeah, you're
They're going
banned.
to tell you to get or call security.
We've had several passengers who have gone through the appeal process, and they communicate by phone, and we schedule a time to meet with them at the ops center, and we walk through that review. So it's a very straightforward thing. We can make sure it's in there. That'd be a good idea.
I kept reading it, but to me, the appeal system only works if you're suspended for 90 days or 180 days. And that gives you time enough to necessarily get all your stuff together. And then, like I said, maybe there's a mailing process, getting a friend of yours to go get the paperwork that you need. That way, turn it back in and all that. But to me, and reading all of the appeal process, it only works for the 90 days and 180 days.
How so?
But that's just me, but the way I was reading. But has it been working in the past very well? Because a lot of people are complaining about, they don't think they were heard enough or whatever.
No,
Or it was maybe hurried through.
no, yeah, just like Barry stated, they make the phone call for the appeal, and they meet at the garage for the appeal process. A lot of times people come with workers, caseworkers, when they come and do that appeal. So it's been working.
And people that necessarily are homeless, they have a way out there to where y'all at? Or do y'all provide a way for them to get out there to go through that appeal process? I'm just asking, LaShawn.
Most people come with a worker, so they're being brought out there. So yeah, they've had a ride. I've not had anybody that come without someone with them. And that's just an option for them if they want to bring someone with them.
And are you also getting a lot of reports that people are not being heard to the full extent that they think they should be?
No, I haven't. I have had people come multiple times. I have lifted bans, and the same person did the same thing again and had to issue the ban again. If they felt like they weren't heard, it was, something they've done for sure that got them banned multiple times. So, and we have everything. We will make sure we get video and have video if they want to watch video of the incident. So we'll have everything together.
Okay. So the final, the final appeal takes place out there where your office is at?
Yes. Yes, it'll be done with myself and safety.
Okay. That satisfies me. And I trust the things that I've mentioned will be taken into consideration.
Thank you, Harvey.
Mm-hmm. And are there any other committee members that would like? Okay, Sandy's in queue. Go ahead, Sandy.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Thank y'all so much. About how many bags are allowed for a person to take on the bus?
So we have talked about having the one bag policy. The big bags, not grocery bags.
Okay, that was the question.
The grocery bags, I think, hold on, let me look. I think it's 3. But it may, hold on. As long as, okay, so it doesn't have a number, but it's as long as it's not going to obstruct someone walking through the aisle and it doesn't take up a seat. That's what it is.
Okay. Well, some of the older people, they'll have carts and everything, and they're not really that wide. They're really actually very compact. Are they still allowed to bring those on with the groceries in them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think, who were we talking about with that? Was it Carmen? Was it you guys we were talking about looking into different programs and options to where we could do kind of like almost like a campaign to let people know those kind of carts are allowed. I can't remember what it was, but I know they are allowed, but I would love to do something to make it more known for the public to know that that's a good option for carrying your stuff.
Yeah, I
agree
think.
with-
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying I agree with what she's saying. Sorry, Carmen.
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying, yeah, I think we all talked about it together, and maybe as this rolls forward, I'd be happy to, talk to you, Catherine, and we can kind of work together on that.
Anybody want to know about the website? It's gonna be cool.
Pardon me? What was that?
I'm excited about the website because it's just getting organized, and I'm all excited
I
because
was
it
wanting to
means
ask
everything
you,
gets to go into a box.
Those maps that you put up,
Oh yeah.
pretty colors, are they
Mhm.
gonna be on the bus and at the station?
Yes, I don't know if that will be the specific one because I haven't heard back about the actual layer that has all of the information for the routes. I'm using that from another program we use to look at our routes. I like it though. I think it's pretty. But
That's
it's
what I
gonna
was gonna say.
be it's gonna look similar to that, like the big one and then the more just deep in downtown one. And then we've talked with different departments in the city that have options for QR codes. They said we can use a QR code or a URL if somebody wants to type that in or you take a picture of a QR code. I don't use QR codes that much, but you take a picture of it and then it'll take you to your website. Yeah.
Is that necessarily pushing the people out that don't have phones or whatever?
That's what we were talking about, is to have different options to find it. So outside of the QR code with the URL, they can look it up. It'll show the website like transit. It'll be asheville.gov and it's /transit. So if someone were to want to look it up at another time, I don't know how well it would work to have copies of the transit center. We can always talk about that. If I know on the bus, it usually didn't work very well. That's what I'd heard. I don't know, that was before me, but we could talk about maybe at the transit center having copies if people wanted to have a hard copy. That could be an option.
Okay. I'll try to leave this alone. But as far as the art system rules, when everything gets down to where we've heard this, heard that, finalize this, finalize that. Those specific rules that we went over today, in their finalization, they will go at the station and on all buses.
Yes, but we've talked about how long it is and that it may be best to have a shorter version that goes on the buses and at the station. And then you can go online to see the big version with the appeal process connected to it. I'm not sure how I want to shorten it quite yet because I do want all of the details in there. But I'm sure there are some pieces that aren't 100% necessary for you to read right at that moment, and you could get a more detailed version later online.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Amber?
The intent, I believe, is to have the shortened version, so it would be hard, on the buses, maybe with a QR or a URL link, and then for certain to have a copy for folks to look at the transit center if they have additional questions, just of those rules. We're still looking at that. We wanted to finalize and have you all look at the rules, get your input, provide you an additional copy of those with some of it incorporated. And then we were looking at how we're going to put those on board for our riders.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that very much. Before we move any further, Brandon, are you still here? Okay, she's not here. My quorum's gone still. Okay. Let me see. Transit committee meeting time frame. Since we don't have a quorum still, discussion of the time frame will be put off until our next meeting. So hopefully we'll have a quorum then on both the time frames. But most of the people that we talked to on the doodle poll, they were wanting to remain on the time that we have now, 5 to 7. Is that correct?
That is correct, I believe.
Okay.
We just were unable to vote on it at the last meeting due to quorum.
All right. The election of the vice chair. We don't have a quorum, so we can't do that either. Joint city plan update. Staff will provide an update of recent activities relating to the joint transit plan update.
I provided a brief presentation at the last meeting, just of some of the input that we've received. We have not, we're just continuing to present to stakeholders. There was the Community Transportation Advisory Board with the county, with Mountain Mobility. They were given a presentation, I believe, on the 4th of May, and sustainability will be, we will be doing a presentation to the Sustainability Committee with the city. And then we have a meeting this Friday with the city and county partners to discuss our next steps, to review the input that we've received and to talk about the next steps of the RFP development, where things are at in the budget process. The city has put the study in their budget, excuse me, and just to have some discussions with the county on the next steps of the RFP and a time frame. So that's all I really have to report on it. We'll have more in the June report.
Okay, so that'll be the 19th when y'all be meeting. Excuse me. I'm trying to write this down. Give me a little time. Okay. Communications and outreach update. Staff will provide an update on recent activities.
I think that might have been it might have been a duplication of the other one, or I might have just combined everything into that conversation. Because that was definitely included with the whole spiel about the website and then the maps and everything.
Okay.
So, I apologize for the confusion.
That's okay, Catherine. That's fine. That's good. Okay. Transit committee member updates and rider experiences. And the floor is open for anybody's great riding experiences on art. Colin, go ahead.
Actually, I think Sandy had her hand up first.
I did. Thank you so much, Colin. Thank you very much. A lot of people are asking about new buses for the city transit. And I talked to a driver who said that the borrowed buses have been sent back. So I was wanting to ask about that.
I can provide some additional information at our next meeting. We'll do a presentation on kind of where we're at with our fleet and the replacement, and just on our memo as well, the transit update on our memo. We have that included in the bus replacements. We did have to give back the loaner buses to Vicinity because we discontinued that purchase order. because there were issues in January that they had indicated would take another 6 to 7 months, and still couldn't guarantee that these buses were going to be delivered. So we canceled the PO, went ahead, issued a new PO with Gillig, and those vehicles will be on the production line in September. And there's 4 of those, so they'll be done by October, hopefully. We currently have the 3 vehicles that were purchased in February of 22. And 3 of them are, excuse me, they are all, one's off the production line. A second will be off the production line at the end of the week. And the 3rd vehicle is in paint. They are awaiting tires, which they should receive on the 18th. And we should have them delivered to Art and into Asheville, hopefully by the end of May. It takes probably 10 days to 14 days to get them in service, but you will be seeing 3 new 30-foot diesel buses hopefully by the beginning of June.
That would be fantastic.
Yes. So that is kind of the status of where we're at. We are in the process of, we did receive the low no funding. That was in September of 22, or I believe it was August. I don't know. It was before me. And the grant was for the 30-foot hybrid diesels.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, Gillig and no other bus manufacturers are making hybrid vehicles in that size anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we need the 30-foot vehicles. So we are working with FTA to see what our options are to proceed with a bus purchase and what we can do. So we're working with FTA on that right now. So.
Also good news. Very happy to hear all that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Is there anybody else? Okay. Well, I'm gonna get cranked up now. I appreciate the work that staff does. Y'all go above and beyond all the time. And I would like to give a shout out to LaShawn and Crystal. Some hardworking girls there. I didn't know LaShawn was still driving buses at 8:30 at night. But she'd be kicking it driving a bus at 8:30 at night. She done came in, did her shift, then she gotta go drive buses at 8:30 at night. I said, wow. She's going to be up above and beyond the Call of Duty there. But I'm quite sure that wasn't the first time she's done that. But I would like to say thank you for doing what you do. And Crystal, she was also right along with LaShawn, pulling those long hours and leave real late and still come back in that next day at their appointed time, ready to do it again. And I thank them for all that they do. I'd like to say a shout out for Gene, driver on the S1, and also ran into my friend again, Lena. She's still talking to town right there. She talked. LaShawn has told her to calm it down a little bit, but she's still sweetie pie. That's what she calls everybody. But I'd like to give a shout out to Victor as well, and Chris. And I was on, I think it was the S3, and we were pulling out last Thursday. And Charlene was coming up when I was driving Charlene, she was coming up the way out there where the buses are and uptown at the station. And she had lost her nail. She was so heartbroken. She had broke one of her nails. And the lady security guard, she helped Charlene get her some glue together and put her nail back on. Me in Miami, we couldn't help but start laughing. The whole bus was laughing. Everybody at the station was just laughing because she was so heartbroken. She lost her nail. I said, "Go ahead, Charlene." But anyway, the other shout out I'd like to give would be to. Trey, he's a story in himself. he works months at a time, and he doesn't even get a day off. He doesn't want a day off because he's needed at his position, and he's dedicated. I think he said he had 1 day off in 60 or something like that. And that's being dedicated. And he said he loves his job and he wouldn't have another job besides the one he's doing, and that's driving. And he said that from his heart. And I appreciate that. And let me see, it was last Thursday as well. It was one of the buses going out the Haywood Road. It quit. And then I don't think the mechanics had time to get there, whoever they send to get the buses started back up. But I just got the story when I got back on at Haywood Road at the top of it. And they said the bus quit. They were sitting there waiting on somebody to come bring them another bus. But luckily the bus was one of the W buses, and they got it going, it came back on by itself. It finally came back on. And we were lucky to have that happen at that time. I don't know whether it quit the rest of that day, but it did quit. And the other thing was, I think this happened on Trey's shift as well. One of the S1 buses got hit 3 times in one day. I said, really? And I think LaShawn went out there on scene to check it out. And while she was there, the bus got hit again. I think that's the way the story was told to me. But that's the way it was told to me. But that's it for me. But like I say, I love being a part of the transit committee. I love the drivers. They do their job very expertly, and they're very efficient in what they do. And I'll turn it over to Colin. Go ahead, Colin.
Thank you, Harvey.
Uh-huh.
I had just a couple questions. One regarding bus maintenance. So all the buses have have yellow grab handles inside the buses, vertical handles. A number of them, the paint has chipped off, and those yellow grab handles have rust spots all over them. Is there any potential effort to get those, sanded and painted? And also, some of those, the buses that have the pressure pads to call for the bus to stop, as opposed to the cable. Several of the buses, the seats by the back door, there's no pressure pad for them to call for a bus stop. But on some of those vertical grab handles, there's a red button. Not sure why some have the red button on the grab handle and some don't, but anybody that's unfortunate enough to sit in that seat, they've got to stand up or move or do something to be able to call for the bus to stop, because there's no pressure button anywhere for them to hit. So unlike where the pull string is pretty much accessible to everybody, though. So just a question. Yeah.
Let me answer on, was that it, Colin? Was that the list?
Yes. As far as the maintenance goes, yeah.
Yeah. The different year of bus will have the different passenger stop notifications. So that may be why one bus has it on the handlebar or on the bar and one doesn't have it. I'll have our guys take a look at those. It's not something you can easily retrofit, but as far as the paint coming off the bars, 17 of our buses have over 550,000 miles, and the replacement buses are much needed. So But what we can do is take a look at those things that are in need and see if we can't take care of it. And we'll do that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
Thank
the
you.
other, this is just something, a thought for consideration in the future as budget would allow. So on Merriman Avenue, you know, the DOT put in the narrowing the lanes down for, and now there's bike lanes. So the buses, when they go to pick up, they pull over to the curb and into the bike lane, which results in vehicles now kind of are passing the buses somewhat in the turn lane, go around the buses, which not sure, you know, I understand the buses have to pull over to the curb to pick passengers up, but it's just something to consider as far as, not sure if that is a safety concern or not. However, on Merriman at the Ingalls bus stop, there's a huge gore area that buses are now pulling over into. It's a area that's not marked for vehicles. They're pulling over into that to pick up passengers at that bus stop, and they're completely out of the through lane, and they're having a hard time getting back into the lane if there's a lot of traffic. It could be a great opportunity for a floating bus stop at some point in the future if budget will allow, because it's an 8-foot wide, 40-foot long area. So the room is there to construct a floating bus stop. So, and that would save the bus from having to pull all the way over and then get back into traffic. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Colin. That was great. Joseph?
Yeah, question for Colin. What's a floating bus stop?
Very simple. The bus stop kind of floats on thin air, I guess. No, it's a concrete pad built out into the adjacent to the traffic lane. So in the case where you've got a bike lane and then you've got this 8-foot space that's not a traffic lane, it's a nothing lane. And so it's unused space. So you can actually put in a 4 to 6 inch concrete sidewalk area that a bus can pull up to, and it's accessible for pedestrians and pedestrians with disabilities. And so they're not, it makes it easier for the buses and pedestrians to access. So
Thank you.
I don't know, maybe Amber can explain it better, but that's I've designed them, but I don't know how else better to say it.
No, I think you did a great job from an engineering standpoint of explaining it. I knew exactly what you were referring to. No, they're like an amenity so then the bus, there is difficulties when you do pull offs for them to get back into the flow of traffic. So it is easier, and that's. I don't know if we have any in that. I'm sure we do, but there's examples of them, and they're used all over.
Yeah.
And they're
and the buses don't block the bike lane either.
Yep.
That way, bikes can continue going through, and they're not getting blocked. So.
Great. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Joseph. Okay. There was one other question that I had, Amber. You or Catherine might can answer it. Last week, it was on the news that the TDA got an overflow of money from 2022. Did they spread any of that toward transit?
Not that I'm aware of, but I've not been involved in any of those discussions.
Okay, it's a sizable amount. I don't forget what exactly what it was. It was a nice chunk of money that they had as an overflow.
It's not that I don't know what the plans are for it. And, yeah, I could definitely take some of it off their hands. We could use it, but, we can research into what those options are.
Okay, I appreciate
Those
that.
avenues there. No, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Because I try to keep up with the news here in Asheville. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to add to the meeting today? We had a very productive meeting, interesting meeting, and I appreciate that very much. Staff, I appreciate everything you do. My committee members as well. Wish I could get more people on board so we can have a quorum, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress. Our next meeting will be June the 20th. And until then, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.